Everyone in a leadership role should read this. Leadership versus management. The difference between leadership and management. We refer to leaders as leaders and acknowledge that they have various management responsibilities. You lead people and you manage things. Never forget this. This is where those in leadership roles typically begin to underachieve or even fail. They lose sight of the fact that people are not machines, systems, or projects and cannot be managed as if they are inanimate objects incapable of thought and emotion. Unions are why there are fire exits at your work and why the doors aren't padlocked during work hours. I grew up poor in the 80s. It beats 2023. My dad worked at a pizza place and my mom didn't work. He was the manager or assistant manager. He made and sometimes delivered pizzas. He bought a very cheap house, which today would cost $350,000, had 3 children, 2 cars, we were always fed, went to the movies, had a Nintendo. This might not sound poor, but all my clothes were secondhand, the cars were older, and some people at school let me know that I was poor. We never went on vacations. We lived in the bad part of town, but 80s poor was so much better than today. I'm old poor, and I know poor, and the way people have to live today is horrific. I've never seen so many unhoused people in my life. The price gouging for cars, rent, and real estate is disgusting. Capitalism is a monster that is actively making our lives more difficult. US $72.5 million class action settlement. When you control an employee's time, you must pay them. Hey, I have a solution for people just standing around, if that's actually true, and you're not just saying that so you don't have to pay people more. Just fire them, just fire them. If they're actually doing nothing. Yeah, but this to me just sounds like they just want to pay people less. Or go homemade. You will still not afford it, but at least you are now a house less in peace. Remember, friend, a $5 iced latte a day is $25 a week, $100 a month, $1,200 a year. After 10 years, that's $12,000, which is still nowhere near enough to put a down payment on a house, so enjoy your espresso in peace. Nearly 1 in 5 workers are loud quitting at their jobs, a new Gallup poll says, and it's way more extreme than quiet quitting. Oh, I was expecting, someone just going, you know what? I quit. Classic. But, dropping a comically large hammer on your computer ought to do the trick as well. Watching The Incredibles and saw this when Bob gets called into his boss's office. No wonder he threw him through 15 walls. That guy was a psychopath. To employee from Gilbert Hugh. Due to financial cutbacks, you will now be expected to self-expense all office supplies, including but not limited to pencils, erasers, pens, paper, stationery, folders, staples, paper clips, brads, and photocopies. All parking will now be metered by the hour, electricity consumption and all telephone charges will be deducted from your paycheck. The board of directors at InsureCare wishes to thank you for your selfless sacrifice through this time of financial uncertainty. It is because of you, the employee, that InsureCare has recorded its highest profits in years. Cool. Remember, a successful company makes for a successful employee. A penny you save is another penny that goes in our profits. They fired my husband and have since come crawling back. My husband was fired from his job in January of 2021 after 10 plus years because we got COVID, and he was down for the count for like a month. 2 weeks ago, out of the blue, one of the higher-ups sent him a text asking him to reach out because she hadn't talked to him in a year. Yesterday, I found his old job being advertised for $5 more than what he was making when he was fired. This is the 3rd time since he was fired I've seen it advertised. My husband was a construction manager. He took the job at 19, so he wasn't aware of the real value his work and position had. When he was fired, he was making $17 an hour. It's been a year and a half, and they're realizing they can't get anyone else to do that job for less than $30. I told him to reach back out and tell them he will come back, but not for less than $45 an hour. It costs $70 to produce a year's supply of insulin, yet the average annual cost of insulin went from $2,864 in 2012 to $5,705 in 2016 to $12,000 in 2022. That's a 17,142% markup. That isn't inflation, it isn't supply chain issues, it is 100% corporate greed. Make insulin free. Kindly look inward, dear landlords. The enemy is from within and not outside. My landlord wants to increase my rent due to also being affected by inflation as well as rate rise. They can't afford to keep the rent at the same level, so I sent them this. Hi blank, no worries, thank you for letting me know. Please do tell the landlord that if she's struggling for money, then perhaps she should get a real job and earn her own money instead of stealing mine. Regards, Florence. Yeah, hit them with a little of their own medicine. Good job, Alex. Proud of you. We are closed due to Alex walking out. We apologize for the inconvenience. They really just threw him under the bus. Paris is drowning in trash because the bin men have gone on permanent strike against the retirement increase. Their energy bills are 50% of ours. They retire 6 years earlier. Their pension is 2 times higher, yet still they will strike. Why are they better off? Because they strike. Man dies of heat stroke less than a week after Governor Greg Abbott repeals water breaks for local workers. Man, that's infuriating. I mean, I need to sleep as well. Sleep for 8 hours, work for 8 hours. That's only 14 hours out of 24. You still have 10 hours to cook amazing meals, work out, learn a language, and walk on the beach. Time is not the issue. South Park's creators have eliminated tipping at Denver's famed Casa Bonita. Servers now make $30 an hour, and some are mad. I have heard a lot of takes on this, and I have nothing to say about it. I have found a software error at the company I work for that is costing them about $18 million a year, but I haven't told them because they told me no when I asked for a raise. Vanna White hires aggressive new lawyer after nearly 20 years on Wheel of Fortune without a pay raise. Holy cow. How does this sub feel about remote work? Everyone I know with remote jobs have declined both mentally and physically. Lol, my husband quit his job after being forced back into office in 2021. He got a new job that was full remote, became the lead of their new product within 3 months, is the most liked person at the company, and built our bike shed and 2 new decks during his lunch hours. He meets his coworker who lives in our neighborhood for lunch. We go for bike rides, and he runs several times a week midday. I also do remote contract work so we can easily switch back and forth with our kids' care tasks based on who has a meeting or time-sensitive work thing. He can also take 10-minute naps when something is processing and he needs to wait, and can wear his sweatpants if he wants to. This anti-remote propaganda is so silly. Yeah, being able to work wherever you want is really freaking nice, and I think it should be a normal thing. I mean, I don't know, being able to live your life and make money sounds pretty good. That's a no for me. You'd like the day off? So you want the day off. Let's take a look at what you were asking for. There are 365 days per year available to work. There are 52 weeks per year in which you already have 2 days off per week, leaving 261 days available for work. Since you spend 16 hours each day away from work, you have used up 170 days, leaving only 91 days available. You spend 30 minutes each day on coffee break. That accounts for 23 days each year, leaving only 68 days available. With 1 hour lunch period every day, you have already used up another 46 days, leaving only 22 days available for work. You normally spend 2 days per year on sick leave. This leaves you only 20 days available for work. We are off for 5 holidays per year, so your available working time is down to 15 days. We generously give you 14 days vacation per year, which leaves only 1 day available for work, and I'll be darned if you're going to take that day off. Old rules don't work. Kellogg's announced it's firing strikers who refused. Designed by strike-breaking consultants, offer structured to turn workers against each other. Taking applications online, millennials, Gen Z applied en masse with no intent of taking jobs, crashed system. Applying for tech support jobs, saw this, immediately thought of this sub. Pay $16 to $20 an hour, must be available to work rotating shifts, overtime, off hours, holidays, weekends, and be on call 24 hours per day, 7 days a week, 365 days per year. Jesus Christ. An experimental submarine with some of the richest people in the world disappears. Oh no! Anyway. And this is why there is a rush to get us back in the office. The office real estate crash will be so sharp and deep that capital economics thinks office values are unlikely to recover by 2040. Coming from Forbes? How did the writers sneak this one in? The forced return to the office is the definition of insanity. Good morning to everyone except these two, Alexander Taylor and Myra Brown, who sued over student debt relief and got it struck down. Applying for jobs is depressing. I do not enjoy talking about my work with others. Disagree. If I were financially secure, I would continue with my current line of work even if I was no longer paid. Strongly disagree. ICU nurse here. The two options we get to explain why we didn't receive a lunch break. There's no option for short-staffed or my patient was dying. Why did you miss your meal break? MGR request voluntary. Millionaire 23 claims anyone can be rich in their 20s if they stop scrolling, as he calls his generation lazy. Okay, what do you do for work? Those poor 1% folk. Canceling $1.7 trillion in taxes for 600 billionaires, but not $1.7 trillion in student debt for 45 million Americans is the modern version of let them eat cake. Out of the frying pan into the fire. I graduated from college 8 years ago today. I was 28. I refused to go into debt for college, so I joined the military. I kept my grades up and they took care of me. Hashtag cancel student debt is a slap in the face to many like me. Imagine thinking I had to enter into a situation where I potentially would have died or maybe would have had to kill others so that I wouldn't go into crippling debt just for an education is a good argument to maintain that system. Just work harder. Gavin Newsom ordered the Benioff Homelessness and Housing Initiative to find out just how bad San Francisco's crisis is. People are homeless because their rent is too high. Thanks, HR lady, for treating me like a child. 10 things that require zero talent: being on time, work ethic, effort, body language, energy, attitude, passion, being coachable, doing extra, being prepared. Why don't you just say it to my face next time? A bad manager can take a good staff and destroy it, causing the best employees to flee and the remainder to lose all motivation. Ron Perlman, the absolute f***ing legend. One thing before I get off this, the motherfucker who said we're gonna keep this thing going until people start losing their houses and their apartments, Perlman says in the video, listen to me, motherfucker, there's a lot of ways to lose your house. Some of it's financial, some of it is karma, and some of it is just figuring out who the f*** said that. And we know who said that, and where he f***ing lives. There's a lot of ways to lose your house. You wish that on people? You wish that families starve while you're making $27 million a year for creating nothing? Be careful, motherfucker. Be really careful, because that's the kind of stir up. Peace out. What a man. Regret bringing more slaves into the world. No lying, did you regret having children? Yes. My son is 27, suffering from chronic depression in a low-paying, dead-end job without the faintest idea of how to get out of it. His life is an unending continuum of unhappiness and dissatisfaction. If I knew that he would develop like this, I would not have had him. I would not want to bring a person into this world outside of his own volition if I knew that he would experience no joy in his existence. I was under the impression that almost all living creatures had at least the capacity for joie de vivre, and I assumed that it would not be so for my child as well. Sorry, son, I don't know what to do. Maximum 8 hours a week. Amendment introduced to limit remote working in Ohio. But why? Why does that benefit you to make others have your working conditions? I'm a minor and all my requests for my family vacation got denied. What should I do? They denied multiple requests. First request came with 1 month's notice for only 4 days off. I see they all got denied, but I don't really know what they expect me to do. I'm a cashier and it's my whole extended family vacation that has already been paid for. What should I do? Edit, I was never planning on missing the vacation, of course. F them. Didn't really know if I should just take it and get fired, but it looks like that's probably the case. Let them know you are no longer requesting time off. You are informing them you will not be there those days. I agree. If they fire you, so be it. Then go get another cashier job because you're young and can work for the rest of your life, but a family vacation is a once-in-a-lifetime event. I got fired. I dislocated my shoulder. 2 doctors told me it'd take 4 weeks to heal. I told my boss my progress every week and he kept wishing my healing well. Come the 3rd week, I let him know I'm ready to come back next week and he let me know he'd already replaced me. I feel so much anger for the work industry. I give them so much. A committed schedule, a good personality, good customer service, conscientiousness, promptness, attention to detail, good and careful driving, good communication, etc. I get injured and no loyalty. F***ing replaced me while pretending I still had the job and only let me know when I'm ready to come back. F***ing bastards. Not every job should have a living wage. That is not healthy for society. It is not healthy for someone making ice cream cones at Dairy Queen to make enough to live off of. You want a society that actually can't live off these jobs. So how are those working these jobs meant to live? And more importantly, how will I get ice cream at Dairy Queen when all the people working for them died? Just move to a place you can afford. A map of the United States, but it's only states where someone making $15 an hour can afford a 2-bedroom apartment. Wow, 3 states. That's cool, and boy, I don't want to live in Arkansas again. People no longer believe working hard will lead to a better life, survey shows. I'm a secret shopper that goes in and doesn't rat out the employees. I get paid to eat and always always give a positive review. I'm sick of big companies trying to spy on employees. Some of the questions are just to find out who is slacking off. They want exact times and such. Even if I see someone not extremely excited to be at work, yes, that's a question, I say there are. Fuck them, and thanks for the money and free food. This is a new one for me. Thank you for applying on Indeed. I would love to set up a time to talk with you this week. Please find a time on my calendar here. Also, to let you know, I'm going to reject your application from Indeed. Don't let that worry you. We only have to do this so our company does not get charged for your application. I look forward to talking with you soon. Thank you. Wow, they just straight up told you. It's like, yeah, it's just so that we don't have to pay money. It's like, oh, okay, cool. The rental housing crisis is a supply problem that needs supply solutions. The median annual pay during the Great Depression was 22% of the cost of an average home. Today it's 14%. That means that pay relative to home cost made it easier to buy a home during the Great Depression than right now. This is absurd. A sushi restaurant in Oregon has to pay $375,233 after they were caught stealing wages from 11 workers and threatening to fire anyone who kept their cash tips. Nobody will go to jail for this, and the media doesn't give a shit. A Black Mirror episode in which you are forced to rent your labor to a predatory ownership class who then grants you tokens that you trade for basic necessities, including food and shelter. It's funny that businesses are begging for workers instead of just getting those robots we're told will so easily replace us if we raise the minimum wage. Boss is upset that I have a second job. This is a rant more so than anything, so I just got a second job at a large retail store that provides me with enough hours to finally make ends meet. After my first paycheck, I finally paid off a fine and my car, but the boss at my first job, gas station, doesn't seem too happy. He was encouraging about getting another job and also provided a good reference, but suddenly last week he got upset. He said, "Will you still come in if we need a shift covered?" And I said, "No, probably not. I have a part-time contract of 10 hours and have been working there for over a year. I have never worked more than 15 hours a week. I'm a full-time student too." He seemed pissed that I suddenly was not at his beck and call, and he said, "We expect you to be flexible." And I said, "I was for a year, but you didn't give me enough hours." I'm unreasonably annoyed by this. I just pushed my buttons. They just hired a casual too. He's lucky I didn't quit on the spot. I think you are perfectly in your right to be upset about this. Hey guys, just a thought, but how about instead of canceling celebrities for comments they made years ago, we start boycotting companies that want bachelor's degrees and 3 to 5 years of experience for $13 an hour entry-level jobs? I think we are asking for too little. 4 hours for work, 8 hours for rest, 12 hours for what we will. How in the actual fuck is this allowed? Indentured servitude. Nurses hit with hefty debt when trying to leave hospitals. Requiring nurses to repay for training programs has become increasingly common, with some hospitals sending $15,000 bills. Breaking. McDonald's workers in Oakland have walked off the job on strike. After our store was transferred to a new franchisee, our accrued paid sick leave was zeroed out. We weren't compensated or told. One worker was relying on paid leave for hernia surgery.